7:33. Are you ready, Martha? I should ask you first.
Good.
You're ready? Good. Okay, so it's 7:33. We will start the Town of Cohasset Alternative Energy Committee meeting. Under Massachusetts law, we are enabled to have these meetings virtually using the town Zoom, and that is what we're doing. Any votes will be done as a roll call. And I want to welcome everybody who's on the committee here on July 11th, 2024. So we are officially starting the meeting. Kevin is going to make me the host, right, Kevin? I think I have to accept once you do that. And then, oh, he might have already done it. Okay, so I think I'm the host, so there's a lot of pressure. If anybody hears from Barbara that she's in the waiting room, let me know so I can.
So she just texted me that she can't get on. I wonder if she's using the other link. So I'm texting her back.
Yeah, you could give her the link to the agenda that's online because that's how I got it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm on, check your email. Okay, so carry it.
We'll carry on.
Carry
I'm
on.
sure she'll join us. So, all right, excellent. The first line of order is to approve the meeting minutes from June 13th, 2024. That was circulated in advance, so I'm hoping everybody was able to review that. And I will wait a minute, and I see that Barbara's ready to come in. I'm going to promote to panelists. And now we have Barbara Russell, so this is perfect. Welcome, Barbara.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. We are at the approval of the June 13th agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, the June 13th meeting minutes, which were circulated in advance. So hopefully everybody got a chance to review them. I was giving everybody a minute. And when we're ready, I would entertain a motion to approve the June 13th, 2024 meeting minutes, or if there are any suggestions or comments. Sorry, did we have a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, thank you. So Martha made a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Chris, I heard you first. So Chris Odlifson will second it. And we'll open up. Is there any discussion, comments, edits? Okay, hearing none, we will do a roll call vote. Tanya Bodell, aye.
Chris Odlifson, aye.
Tom Daly, aye.
Barbara Russell, aye.
Debbie Cook, aye.
Martha Jimmy, aye.
Doran Hole, aye.
All right, excellent. So the minutes are approved unanimously. Appreciate that. Once again, Martha, excellent meeting minutes. A quick question while we're on the meeting minutes. I've noticed that we've had agenda for subcommittees and as well as educational series. Those also require meeting minutes under the open meeting laws. Is there an update on the status of those?
You know what? No, I have not done that, not even thought about it. So I guess I'll have to put something together.
And that's for the educational series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be pretty easy as long as the recordings are posted, which we are going to do, I believe. You could just give a quick overview, a couple of bullet points and the key takeaways. Again, part of the marketing and dissemination of information, and then include a link to the recording for people who'd like to watch directly. So I don't think it should be a heavy lift, Debbie.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, perfect. And then we'll have to approve those, hopefully at a future meeting. And then Martha, how are we doing on the subcommittee, zoning bylaw subcommittee meetings and meeting minutes?
Yeah, so the minutes I sent on to the administrative people.
Yep.
The people, I don't remember who they are. Anyway, I sent them on the approved.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
done. We've only had one subcommittee meeting. I've been trying to schedule the second one, but I haven't gotten an answer back from the town regarding their being able to set it up, and I'm not sure how to deal with that. Should we, if we can't get them to set up the Zoom meeting, do we just meet individually?
Well, you can have 3 people at the meeting
Mhm.
before you create a quorum.
Yeah,
As long as your subcommittee stays, I think you have 4 people who
4 of
are
us.
involved.
I'm happy to sit out.
I don't know if anything would move forward if you did that. So I would say if you're having trouble scheduling, why don't you try to keep it to 3 people and have the 4th provide a one-on-one discussion with yourself on their comments, concerns, or other, and then you can share that with the 3-person subcommittee.
Okay. If I don't hear back from Michelle in the next couple of days, I'll follow up. And I mean, it was the 4th of July week, so maybe we'll hear.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And the May 9th meeting minutes, I did forward twice for posting, and for some reason they're still not posted. So I will repeat that. Try to get this posted along with the June 13th Alternative Energy Committee meetings. Okay, great. Beautiful. We're going to jump into some of the heavy stuff, talking about the zoning bylaw subcommittee. Martha, do you have an update?
Not since our last meeting. We're trying to meet on, I can't remember what day it is. We have a date picked out, and we're trying to meet about the battery storage bylaw proposal. Should be pretty straightforward and pretty easy. Tom found a good bylaw from the town of Carver, and Doran was going to pull together some information from his contacts. So, but I think it's going to be pretty straightforward.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I think it's a good thing that I think Tom was in attendance at one of your meetings, and so
Yeah.
got to hear some of the feedback, which he can then share with
Oh,
his
yeah.
committee.
Tom Callahan. Yeah, for sure.
Tom Callahan. Okay, great. All right, perfect. Thank you for the update. Any questions for Martha on the zoning bylaw subcommittee work? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move forward. Climate Leaders Communities Subcommittee. This is looking at a number of potential requirements for the town of Cohasset to be a climate leader. And in addition to the climate action survey, I think we are going to be making a recommendation to the town on whether to pursue this program and the status. And so we'd love to hear from that subcommittee on the status of the climate action survey. Has it closed? Is it still open? And are we ready for a recommendation and vote?
A vote. The climate action survey, as far as I'm concerned, has been closed.
Mhm.
I would like to put out a plea. Basically, there's 2 separate surveys, and I've been trying to figure out if there's a way to merge them together in order to, plot them on the charts. It seems like it's very difficult to do. And I guess we could do it all manually, but the comments are on both, both, and you could put it into I guess CSV or something, but it's anyway, if there's somebody who could help, who knows maybe how we could merge it, knows some sort of workaround.
Mhm.
The
And the
other,
vote-
the other alternative, sorry, is we talked about summarizing it, right? So, as backup, if someone on the select board would like to see the backup, we have it. But I think that we should decide as a group what the 5 or 6 key elements are of the survey that would drive the adoption of a cap. Is that right?
Right. Well, some of them are just basically, long form answers. So that's important to have that later. But I
Right.
think, yeah, there's, so, I mean, it was a 10-question survey of which 2 were, just people's involvement. So, yeah, so I just, yeah, there's a lot of different ways we could handle this. We could definitely have it ready. What I would have liked is to be able to merge them together because they have these nice, you've seen them, those nice graphs and everything. And it's difficult to do. So, but, so we can, Barbara, you and I can talk about it, how we want
Yeah.
to, unless if there's any computer, you know, Google Forms expert who has an idea about this. I would love,
So I would suggest if you can save both of those, export the data for both of those into an Excel or CSV format.
yeah, you can do that, but right, but then it's more the graphing. Otherwise, you have to manually graph everything, and I, to make
So if you can send them to me in the CSV or Excel format, I can combine the two and then I can just reproduce the charts.
That's
okay,
great.
all right,
That's
perfect.
very straightforward.
That is
They
that
won't,
easy to do. Yeah,
they won't look exactly like, they won't look exactly like they do in the program, but they will convey the information.
I mean, I wanted to try to do this myself because but then I got afraid that I might mess with things. I was trying to make copies of them and it got all confusing because I really was afraid I'd lose the data. So, I decided I wasn't going to mess with that. And so I can send you a CSV or a Excel spreadsheet because they easily convert to that. So,
Yep.
okay. Yep.
And you said there's going to be 2 files sent and then they get merged.
Yes, I have 2 files. There's 2 separate ones, one for the hard copy and one for the online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. I can help you with that for sure.
Perfect.
Put together the charts. And then send you back a single file that has charts, and then that can be summarized. If you want to work on putting together a summary of the key takeaways, that would be helpful too. But I can focus on the charts if you focus on the summary of the comments.
Right, because that would be part of the presentation to the select board. So that was one of the things, and then you had other items on there, the stretch code and things like that, right?
So we've already taken a vote on the stretch code that we recommend pursuing approval of the stretch code,
Right.
right? That was, I think, 2 meetings ago.
Right, and so that, yes, and so, basically we're waiting for this, the presentation of the select board before we start talking to the building inspector and things like that.
Right, but I think we were hoping, or tell me if I'm wrong, I thought we were hoping, and we'll discuss this when we talk about the outline for the select board presentation. I thought we were hoping to make a recommendation to the select board at the next meeting, which will either be the end of July or beginning of August, about the climate action, the climate leaders program.
You're right, but that's integral to applying for that. We have to have the stretch code to apply for that, right? So basically before we started talking to the building inspector, I mean, I thought we wanted to get their buy-in about moving on the specialized code, that's a requirement to move forward on the climate leaders. We have to have that. And so my understanding was when we go to the select board, we're going to, ask them to, buy into our working towards, bringing that to town meeting, right? Isn't that?
Right, so the question is, in the absence of the climate leaders program, and I think we talked about this last time, we're still promoting the specialized code, but do we want to ask the select board for approval, a vote, or other about pursuing all of the requirements of the Climate Leaders Program?
Right,
Of
with the
which the
fleet,
specialized stretch code is
advisory study
one.
and all of that, yes, we need all those components. So yes, if, you know, I mean, since we meet with them so rarely, I think we should, you know, and I noticed it on your agenda, and we can talk about it later, you didn't put in the MOU with National Grid, and that, I guess we need to do the whole ball of wax, right?
Well, that's for us to decide. I think that's the question. Are we going to, and maybe we can wait until we get to that section and then revisit this?
Yep.
But do you think we are prepared as a committee to make a recommendation to the town on whether the town should move forward with all of the requirements to then enroll in the Climate Leaders Program?
So are you asking me or the committee?
I'm asking the committee. Well, I'm asking the subcommittee, do you have a recommendation for this committee? And then is this committee ready to vote on that recommendation?
Not sure I understand.
I can weigh in, sorry. Well, Deb and I spent time, you know, looking at the data. I mean, it's so compelling that I mean, I hope it's not, I'm not speaking out of turn or not with the majority, but it's sort of a no-brainer to want to do it. I mean, so I can't imagine that we would conclude anything else in terms of presenting the analysis, that it's a slam dunk, and just have the back it up with what we've already learned.
Well, but the climate action data survey was about whether or not we should pursue a climate action plan.
I understand, but same with the with the Climate Leaders Program, right? I mean, yes, we have to comply, but the benefits are massive.
Right, right. I mean, that's almost a one sentence thing. You know, there is this program and, you know, and it could be worth a lot of money to the town. I mean, that's a given. So, but we have to do these components. Do you support us doing these components? Do you support us going for the specialized code? And these are what we have to do to reach it. I mean, that to me, that's the dialogue, right?
Right. And so there are 6 requirements. One is to be a green community in good standing, which we are.
Yep.
The second is to have a local body, an energy committee, et cetera, that advises the municipality on clean energy climate initiatives, which we do, and it's us, as well as the resiliency initiative, I guess, as well. But most certainly we would check that box as a committee because we exist and we operate. The third is commit to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050 for municipal buildings and operations. And that's, I think, what the Climate Action Survey supports, that the citizens in this town support going to net zero, right? Eliminating on-site fossil fuel use. So it's not
No,
just
the survey
net zero.
doesn't address that.
Well,
I'm
and
sorry?
also we're required to by the state.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Well-
good, it's actually, it's in the state mandate, actually.
Yeah.
Right. The fourth is to create a municipal decarbonization roadmap, which is supported by the survey. That people want that. Right? Overwhelmingly.
So that's part and parcel of the cap, right?
Totally overwhelmingly, yes.
Okay, so it's supported by the town. We know that now. To adopt a zero emission vehicle first policy, that's also supported by the survey.
Yes. Yes, we can say that.
Okay, and to adopt the specialized opt-in building code, which this committee has already voted that our recommendation is to pursue that,
Right.
to pursue the adoption at town meeting of the specialized opt-in building code. Correct?
Right. But my understanding was before we went ahead on the Cohasset level, You know, we could go out and find out how other towns have done that, which Steve and I and Barbara have done, is, you know, contacted other towns. But as far as going to our building inspector and starting the action on that, we have to have the approval of the select board, right? We can't just be going off and working on this. So that's what I figure. We've got to ask for that component in particular.
Right. So I think the question is, are we ready as a committee to vote to recommend to the town of Cohasset that we pursue all the requirements to be a climate leader community?
When is their meeting? When is the meeting?
It's not scheduled yet, but the two dates provided to me were the last meeting in July and the first and the second week in August by Ellen. Ellen suggested those two dates. She's the chair.
There's
Right.
no reason why we wouldn't recommend it to the select board, right? Is there any argument for not recommending it to the
Well, I
select?
think what Tanya's saying is that we have to back up each of those six gating factors. And I think it sounds like we have all but one, to Deb's point.
Which
Is there
is-
anything else? Which is the building inspector, but it sounds like, do we need to do that?
I think we already have passed that because we have already recommended that we put it on the town warrant.
Okay, so why wouldn't we be able to pull that together? In what format would you like to make the presentation at the town meeting?
Well, we're not talking about the town meeting right now. We've already voted on the specialized opt-in code as a committee.
No,
that
no,
we
I'm talking
recommend
about
adopting it.
right, the overarching the climate leaders program. Isn't that what we're
Right.
talking about? Right?
Yes, but our next step is to make a recommendation to the select board about whether or not we recommend the town pursue the status as a climate leader community.
Right.
Tanya, can I just back up on the specialized code though?
Mhm.
Because that's going to involve drafting a bylaw and all of that. So even though we voted on it, don't we need their approval for us to go ahead on that? So
Yes.
isn't that a call out on this? Don't we have to call out that we need their approval to go forward on that? I don't think we need approval on the other things, you know, we can get the data or the information and, but
So I think we do need
Specialized
approval
code.
on the other things. We need so there's 6 gating items to be a climate leader community. Right now, we only have done 2. We're green community in good standing, and we have a local body that advises on clean energy climate initiatives. So there are 4 other commitments or actions that need to be done to become a climate leader community, including adopting the specialized opt-in building code, adopting a zero emission vehicle first policy, creating a municipal decarbonization roadmap, and committing to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050. So I think what we talked about doing before and what we talked to the select board about at our last presentation was we had one last piece of information we needed to be able to make a recommendation on whether or not to pursue the climate leader community certification. And that was a survey of the people in the town. We've now gotten the survey results back, and that supports moving forward with the remaining 4 items.
right. And some of those items are going to require, help from town staff and things like that. These are things that we're going to need, support on those 4 things. I mean, the municipal roadmap we are not going to be expected to do that, I would hope. So, So yeah, so we're gonna have to get their buy-in and their support and their wanting to give us town resources to do these things in order to become climate leaders.
That's right. And so I think what we wanted to do is not take each of these individually, but to package them up as individually, there's no incentive to adopt the specialized opt-in building code other than the very good incentive of helping the environment. But if we put it in the context of the climate leader community certification, there's additional benefit tied to funding along lines of what we received as a green community.
So then, so the way we would present it is, we have voted, I assume we're gonna vote in the affirmative. We have voted on this committee to recommend the town, pursue the Climate Leaders Program. These are the components. They're gonna require municipal support. And so we are coming to, to ask that we be able to, to enlist some of this support to do these items and then explain what they are. Is that right?
Yes, that is how we discussed approaching it like 4 or 5 meetings ago.
Okay.
And I think by doing that, we can talk about the benefits. Unclear how much money they currently have. But when we started the Green Communities Program, they only had $15,000 per town, and we ended up getting more than $1 million in grant funding.
Right. Right.
Secondly, we've already got 2 of the 6 done. The third component, which is eliminating on-site fossil fuel use by 2050, is already mandated by, or it's established as a goal by the state. If we commit to that, we can control the pace and the process.
And Tanya,
is
does
good
that
governance.
overlap with the National Grid project?
No,
Well, if we're committing, yes, I mean, trying to get rid of fossil fuels in the municipal buildings. So that's the MOU because it's the municipal side. So it does overlap, right?
it does. I think that the National Grid Program assists us in doing that, just as potential grants assist us in doing the others.
Right.
So it's an enabler, not an overlap in my mind.
Right.
I guess the question for this committee is, do we feel comfortable making a recommendation to pursue the climate leader community certification, knowing what we know? Or is there other information we feel we need to pursue to make that recommendation?
Can I just say, and then I'll shut up, but I think we should, I would love to make a motion to recommend that we pursue the Climate Leaders Program with the caveat that we have support from the town. That basically that this is going to be accepted as a town effort. We're not sure, what all that entails, but I mean, we can't be expected to carry this is going to require town resources.
Well, we're an
that's why-
advisory committee to the select board. And they have asked us to make appropriate recommendations within our scope. And this is within our scope. And we are making a recommendation to the select board, advising them to begin the process. So by definition, they own it. We are simply advising.
But isn't Tanya asking us if we're buttoned up on all 6 issues? I mean, how buttoned up do we have to be? is the
I
issue.
think we're buttoned up enough that we've done a couple and we took a survey and we have the citizenry has spoken.
I don't think we need to be buttoned up on everything. I think this is a recommendation to pursue it. It's not saying that we have it. It's to pursue it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm all for moving forward because it seems like it's hard to move forward in the town. So
Well,
system to go.
I think I look at this as this is sort of laying out a recommendation on what to pursue with the understanding of what needs to be done to get there. And if we get if we choose as a committee to make that recommendation that this is worthwhile pursuing, and here's why, and we have a number of reasons already why, including the compelling results of the survey, which indicates the town is supportive. And we give lots of opportunity for the ones who are not to give us their opinion, which doesn't mean there's a silent opposition or a silent support out there, but it is what it is. We've gotten a great response, and we can talk about that too. Given all that, we make a recommendation. If the select board takes that under advisement, they would at a future meeting make a vote on whether or not they think the town should pursue this program, the Climate Leaders Program, and then subsumed under that is pursuing the rest of these requirements. So it's a strategic direction that has tactical execution requirements. That gives us then support to move forward with some of the other items and help usher it forward as a champion, given the approval of the town to pursue, or the select board to pursue the Climate Leader Communities Program status.
So can I just ask them, if they approve that we move forward, then and you say that it's assumed that these are the components, does that mean that like Steve and I can start really working on the process of the stretch code? I mean, we don't have to isolate it. We can just start working on it because there's a lot of advanced stuff. And what's really, I just was talking to Brianna, and she was saying that in Hingham, they are going for the stretch code too. And we were talking about, you know, maybe they're going to be almost on our same time frame if we get going now. We can share materials and things like that. So I guess I'm asking, you know, can we just start the ball rolling once they give us that overarching approval?
And my response to that would be yes, which
Okay.
is why we packaged it under this one program. So we
Okay.
don't have to onesie twosie each of these items, which this committee has been pursuing information on, right?
Okay.
It's sort of a nice package that says, look, we have a recommendation to the select board to pursue this program. Here's what it requires. Here's what we've already done. Here's what still needs to be done. Here's the support that we clearly got indicated in the survey results from the town. And this plus the potential benefits, and we don't know what the benefits are going to be from a grant funding program, but we do know that this is a program the state intends to use as a means of moving towards net zero, which is the goal set by the state. So if our recommendation is going to be, we recommend you pursue this, that implicitly means you are giving us permission to pursue each of the component requirements of this program.
So you don't think they'll come back and say, I just don't know. I'm naive. I mean, this is all new to me, but that we have to report back as to whether or not we jumped over all the gates. We don't have to do that.
We can't jump over the gates. So there's a chicken egg problem here. We can't jump over the gates until they give us the approval to jump over the gates. For them to give us that approval to jump over the gates, we're asking them to approve our recommendation to pursue all of the
Right, no, I
requirements
understand,
necessary.
But then the next, I'm always worried about the 3 or 4 months down the road to get like, okay, you did it. So now we have to approve it finally, or is it, then it's a done deal?
Well, then we move forward with getting it on the warrant. We get the stretch code on the warrant. You know, we do all of the pieces that are required. All of the
Right.
ones we don't have right now need town approval.
Right, okay.
A net zero goal needs town approval at town meeting. The specialized stretch code needs town approval at town meeting. The climate action plan is best if you get town approval at town meeting to pursue that, because it should be a community-based effort, not just an exercise that happens in the dark. right? Because there's a lot of public information that goes in as part of that. And Hingham, as an example, got the approval first before they did the climate action plan. So there's still work to do. We don't make the recommendation, get the approval from the select board and walk away hoping it happens magically.
No,
No, we got to
No, I
shepherd
just-
these items through, right?
no, right. I need to understand the process because
Mhm.
that's helpful. Thank you.
Tanya, quick question. What's the level of kind of continued update or, just the requirements to keep the select board updated on progress as we start to pursue these different things? And would they appoint someone either at the town or on the select board as kind of our liaison for anything that might need input of other committees or, go back to the board?
Yes, so we're supposed to have a liaison from the select board.
Okay.
Usually we have a select board member who participates from the select board for sure. And we have also official liaisons from the school committee, and we communicate very strongly with capital planning, who oftentimes when there's a relevant topic on capital expenditure will participate on our meetings and we will present to them. We as a committee, with the permission of the select board to pursue things, are allowed to go talk to other committees and present to them. And so that's a process through which we get this ushered through. I think the key items that we don't have to become a climate leader community are items that need to be on a town warrant article
Mhm.
for vote. And so we are the natural sponsor of that town warrant article. At some point, somebody else may come in, like the select board may choose to be the sponsor of that article. But we will lay the foundation and the groundwork for what ultimately becomes a vote at town meeting, just like we did with the electric bus, which was basically a capital expenditure. But that happened because we were constantly communicating with the capital planning committee, with the school committee, with the select board, and with the DPW to make sure that there was support.
Got it. Thanks.
But without the approval, if the select board said, you know what, this is too political, we don't want to touch it, despite our recommendation, then
Mhm.
they will say, well, why don't you, they could either say, don't do it, don't do any of this, or they would say, why don't you start by pursuing this, this, and this? And depending on how that goes at the next town meeting, we then can look at this. So they may have their own ideas about how to pace this and how to prioritize the individual
Mhm.
components, which is why we come to them in an advisory role to get their permission to pursue the initiatives that we want to pursue.
Got it.
It also, by doing it that way and having the communications with all the committees, nobody feels like we're going rogue,
Right.
which nobody likes.
Yeah.
If you
No.
want the town to put the brakes on an initiative, give the
Yeah,
impression that
that's how
you're
you do it.
going rogue. That's how you do it.
Got it.
And by the way, that's a strategy you can use with other committees that when you don't like what they're doing. Not that we do that, but most certainly diligent, thorough, informed, researched, compelling arguments have carried the day with our initiatives. And it's an approach that has worked so far. And it's an approach I think we all feel comfortable with. So I'll go back to, is there any information this committee, the members of this committee feel we need before we take a vote on whether or not to recommend the town pursuing all the requirements for being a participant, for being certified as a climate leader community? Barbara?
It sounds to me, based on the discussion thus far, that it's incumbent upon us to pursue it and push it forward.
So
Deb?
you would be in favor of making a recommendation to the select board that we should pursue?
Yeah, unless there's
certification.
unless that one of the four missing gating factors that just have to be buttoned up are problematic. Deb, what do you think? You're our vice chair. You're the head of the committee. I look to you. You're on mute. You're on mute, Deb. Deb, you're on mute.
My husband was making some noises with the ice machine. So I mean, I think these are things that should be done anyway, that certainly are, you know, really valuable. And so I would like, you know, I think we should just move on and make a motion and go for it. It's my recommendation.
All right, so I would entertain a motion. Martha, be ready to take this down. I would entertain a motion, ideally by a member of the subcommittee that has looked into this, to recommend to the select board that we pursue certification as a climate leader community, including all of the requirements listed on the Massachusetts government site about what is required to be a climate leader community. And to be formal, I'll list it out. Be a green community in good standing, number one. Number two, have a local body, sustainability committee, energy committee, etc., that advises the municipality on clean energy / climate initiatives. Number three, commit to eliminate on-site fossil fuel use by 2050 for municipal buildings and operations. Number four, create a municipal decarbonization roadmap. Number five, adopt a zero emission vehicle first policy. Number six, adopt the specialized opt-in building code. If somebody would like to move that motion, you may do so by saying so moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Barbara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Debbie?
Yeah.
Okay, Debbie made a second. So we have a motion and a second. Time for discussion. We've already had discussion. Is there any further discussion or comments people would like to make? Okay, hearing none, we can take it to a roll call vote.
Rosales and I.
I'm Daly, aye.
Doran Hole, aye.
Debbie Cook, aye.
Barbara Russell, aye.
And Tanya Bodell, aye. So the motion passes unanimously. So in our presentation to the select board, we will make that recommendation and give the reasons that we have discussed over multiple meetings as to the basis for our recommendation, including the results of the survey.
But we will also make it known that we will need town resources. You know, like the municipal decarbonization plan. So there will be some things, and it seems to me there'll be 2 warrant articles that we're going to have to get. You know, one, obviously one for the stretch code and one for, what was the other one?
Well, we'll need one for the stretch code, one for
one for the
vehicle emissions, or the vehicle first, and one for the climate action, or one for the commitment to go net zero, or to go zero, decarbonize our operations.
Right.
And possibly one to approve the climate action plan. But what I would do, Debbie, with that understanding, I would just make the recommendation to them. And once they approve it, we then can go back to them and say, you know, we need resources to be able to pursue this. You made a you made a recommendation that we pursue it. You gave us the approval to be the champion of these initiatives. Here are the resources that we need to do that. And they may ask those questions during the conversation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Motion carries unanimously. Excellent. That is a strong showing. And I think we are moving forward as needed. That's a very exciting vote for this committee. And it's been well researched, and I'm very excited to share that with the select board. And when we talk about how that presentation is going to go, I would hope that there would be others involved who can provide the information that helps support that recommendation. Okay, community choice. Anything else on climate leader communities and the climate action survey? All right, community choice aggregation program. Steve's not here, but I think we basically, I kept it in so we remember it. There's nothing, no action on that until I think September, October.
September.
And that's when I think Good Energy thought we should start publicizing what the price is.
Right.
Okay. National Grid Program and MOU. Debbie, do you have an update?
Well, the only thing, I mean, you know, Michelle was involved in all of the correspondence along with Montana. So she, as far as I know, she knows about, you know, the requirement to get it vetted. I've been laying low waiting for the select board and for, you know, the approval to move forward, and then to get the approval to go to legal and you know, ask them to vet it. So so anyway, yeah, I mean, that's got to be one of our asks at for the select board, right? I mean, that we want their approval to push this on and contact legal and follow this through.
So I think at the last meeting, Michelle suggested that we could move forward with legal and that she would try to usher that through.
That was how it was left, and not a word has been said. No.
Correct, which is not abnormal when it comes to town council. So I would suggest there are two action items here. One is, Debbie, if you could reach out to Michelle just with a little reminder that at the last meeting, she said she would send the MOU to town council and ask how that is going, what the status is. And the second is, I will send her a note that says we are going to be presenting to the select board on either X date or Y date, and we would like to have an answer from town council on whether or not there are any issues with MOU. Does that sound appropriate?
Yeah, so
everybody?
I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay,
So then
perfect.
you follow up very shortly after that.
Yep, I will too. Excellent. Okay, any questions on the National Grid Program and MOU? By the way, things aren't stalled on that, right? Because National Grid is still in communications with us and sharing with us potential grant opportunities.
I think everything has moved into a very quiet mode. We haven't heard from them for a while, and I don't want Amanda to get, you know, think that we're literally just, you know, sort of dead in the water and not responding. The grants that she was suggesting to us were not appropriate for, you know, I think we all looked at them and realized they weren't appropriate, and I think she knows that. And the one thing I think we brought up at the last meeting, she does expect that there is going to be a fair amount of lead time before we get this MOU signed, and she said sometimes it takes 6 months. But I have not heard from her for quite a while.
Okay, excellent.
Well, I don't want to let it go too much, but I don't have anything to report. So maybe I would follow up and just tell her that we're, you know, based on once you find out something or whatever, and just to update her so she knows we're not
Okay.
blowing her off.
Great. Once you send an update, so a third action item, Debbie, is once you send a note to Michelle, send a note to Amanda and say, just a quick update from us. Our town staff liaison agreed to send this to town council. And at the end of the month or early August, we'll be presenting to the select board and sharing the details of the MOU and the National Grid Program.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we keep that.
Yeah, I'll CC you on that.
Great. Okay. Perfect. Update on 2024 initiatives. I loved today's education session. Do you want to give an update on how that's going and what we need going forward and ideas on how we're approaching this?
Sure. Well, it has not turned out the way I had hoped, but I think that we have a lot of opportunities still. So basically we've got two done, the solar one and the heat pump one, which by the way, both of them were full of really, really good information. If you have any questions about heat pumps, that heat pump session, I thought, right, Barbara, was incredible, really informative.
Yeah, he's on his game. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
There's no-
Barbara
he
found
exhausted the
the
topic.
speakers. Barbara found the speakers for the heat pump, and it was really good. So today's was the all electric home that kind of fell apart a bit, and we didn't get to publicize it. And I've sort of decided, that trying to get people to come in to this Zoom at this time, and especially summer, nobody's going to do it. So the value of it's going to be, we already are putting them on the AEC webpage. They go on Cohasset 143 TV, and they're shown for maybe a week or so. So they're, maybe they get some eyes there. But then I'm hoping to actually really either publicize the whole series or, pull some of them out and actually have them, we'll have to talk about whether I can take them, for example, to the senior center and or the library, and just me, myself, or somebody else, and and try to do some sort of a seminar showing them and then having a discussion after. But I'm thinking of all different ways of publicizing. So
Yeah,
they're
and also I
really
think in terms of,
worthwhile.
I think you've done a great job. And also when you archive them, in the event that we do a climate action plan, they could be archived and be links in a climate action plan as to, we'll have our feet to the fire as to what we need to do in terms of reducing GHG as a town. And it's informative, right? People can double click on their, why should I get a heat pump, right? So I think this is not for naught just because people didn't show up in July.
Oh, no, it's
It's,
not at all. I mean,
I think it's going to be
got something
powerful.
concrete. And
Yeah.
and it came through very clearly on the survey that people felt one of the major obstacles to dealing with the climate was education. I mean, that was probably the strongest thing that they said was education. So, we can point that
Right,
out.
and determining what the best resources are, like where would you find a heat pump? Who are reliable heat pump providers in the South, on the South Shore, et cetera. So I think this will all come to be used well in the future, is my prediction.
I agree. And I think it's going great. And I like the different formats. And I have very much enjoyed the speakers that you have brought together. So that's the beauty of the internet. Things live forever. Okay, so on the school roofs, we are in a waiting pattern until the school facilities committee moves forward with asking the state for money to replace the roofs. They are familiar with the work that we've already done. The school committee is now front of mind, thinking about how to use solar to decrease their costs, how to use solar plus batteries to increase their reliability. So I think we have done a lot of great work. I would like to have somebody from this committee serve as a liaison to the school facilities committee. And I don't think we need a committee to do that. I think just one person who attends their meetings and keeps track of what the status is and then reports back to the larger alternative energy committee. Is there somebody who would be interested in that role?
I would.
All right, Martha.
Martha, you were such an awesome volunteer. I thought for sure it would be Tom, facilities.
I
Oh,
know,
he's ready
me
to- he's ready to beat Martha to it.
Actually, it's not-
Tom, would you
Tom,
like
it's
to?
your choice. Tom, you should do it.
I should, I just need to know when they meet and everything, just because I have other conflicts. I don't want to say yes and then be able to, then have to back out.
Could you
But
two
I'd love to
tag
do
team
that.
on this? Maybe?
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
I think that would be fine. And two people does not create a quorum, right? And I think they would welcome what both of you bring to the table. And then at least one person is there because we all have other obligations and sometimes they get in the way. So is that okay, Martha? Are you okay with that?
That's more than okay. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think that
to
the two
turn
of
it
you
in.
are ideal for this.
Okay.
Excellent. And I echo what Chris said, Martha, about you. Thank you very much for
It's
your
really
enthusiasm
fast.
and your hard work.
I'm such a sucker.
Well, this one's exciting, right? Because then the next thing is
This
going to be
is
coordinating
good
with
stuff.
them.
It is.
It is. And again, part of the strategy we have used that has helped us to be so successful is ongoing communication and relations with other committees in the town. We really are a cross-disciplined committee, right? We are advisory, but we also have knowledge and access to resources that we can share. And so I think having the two of you specifically be tasked with this, I will make as an action item, I will make an email introduction to, who is the head of that? Let me just quickly identify whoever the chair of the school facilities committee is. I will make an email introduction. I just don't know if it's changed since I last spoke to him. I will make an email introduction to, okay, so the chair is Jason Earls. He is the chair of the school facilities committee. It has changed. So I will make an email introduction to both Martha and Tom and introduce them as the Alternative Energy Committee liaisons to the school facilities committee to be able to assist and provide resources with respect to incorporating energy efficiency, solar, batteries, grant opportunities into their school facilities discussion, especially with respect to the roofs. Okay? All right, excellent. So that's my action item. I know they will make it into the meeting minutes. And then that way you two, once I make the introduction, you two can continue. I'll also include the link to the school's facilities committee so that you know who's on that. Actually, while I have it up, Kathleen Burns, Melissa McDonough, Nancy Roth, and Doug Schultz are the committee members. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let me get back to our agenda. Are we now on data?
Yes, yes.
All right, so quick data. Chris, do you have an update on the charging stations?
You're muted, Chris.
Yes, I have it right in front of me. And let's see if I can figure out how to share it. Okay, share. All right, do you have this? You see it? You see the screen?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So interesting. There's a trend. Take a look at this. Unique drivers are a steady increase from 69 in February up to about 108 in January. Sessions 239 in February, 331 in June. So that's all good. And then, let's see, you guys are in the way here. I gotta move you out of the way. Energy usage looks a little flat between the two, but sort of certainly up from February, 3.1 megawatt hours to up that you need 33% to 4.2 megawatt hours. So, I mean, good trends. We're seeing it sort of build back up from that decline we saw over time. And I believe, Martha, you included that chart within the last month or two of meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting.
Yes. And it even includes down here, you've avoided all this 142,000 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions. And if you like thinking about it in terms of trees, that's almost 3,700 trees. And letting them grow for 16 years or for 10 years.
That is great. And what do the financials show? How much money are we making?
Yeah, you know, well, I mean, it's May is $1,100, January 12, 1,300. You know, I'm not exactly sure what this represents. I've tried to contact our rep and without success. But I think this is the revenue.
That's
Mhm.
gross, right? So ChargePoint didn't take their share yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see what this says.
Huh.
Okay, so this is what ChargePoint collects for EV charging or remits to your company. So this is what they collect and give to us. And utility cost.
That's pretty good because I think these particular chargers are 5,000 each, 10,000 each. So we're basically collecting enough revenue to replace one charger per year. The other interesting thing about that is the maintenance. When we looked at the level 3 chargers, which we could get for 90% off, we had to pay for the ongoing maintenance and replacement. Most certainly the ongoing maintenance. And so this provides data for us to understand how much we might be able to make at a minimum, because these are level 2 chargers, whereas level 3 chargers are going to be in higher demand and you could charge more.
What is our objective, Tanya, in terms of having the charging stations rank ordered?
Well, that is most certainly a discussion we need to have about the level 3 chargers. But I think that this data is giving us information to help on the economics of if we were to move forward with those chargers, could we cover the costs? And if we, regardless of whether we can or can't, does it make sense? I would say there are some applications for a level 3 charger that we would seriously want to think about from a municipal function. For example, if other schools have an electric bus that they use to transport their students, that electric bus is going to want to be able to plug in while the students are playing the sports so that it can charge up. I know that because we've been thinking about that from the perspective of the Cohasset electric school bus. So we have not had a thorough conversation on that. We were asking Michelle to come and have the conversation with us. And by the time she did come to us, things were on hold because they were thinking through the economics of the level 3 chargers. But I think this is a bigger conversation we should have at a future meeting, which is there a reason for this town to move forward with level 3 chargers and under what conditions and for what purpose? I think there arguably are reasons to go for the level 3 chargers if we're going to have an electric vehicle first program for the town, right? Because then we'd have a much larger fleet of electric vehicles and we'd need level 3 charging. And I could also imagine that there might be economic development reasons. We might want to have level 3 chargers on town property. so that if there are visitors from other towns that have done an electric vehicle first, they can charge. If there are, official business by state or other towns in Cohasset, they have a place to charge because we're all moving in the same direction. So I think that this is a bigger conversation for this committee to have, but this is a piece of information that I don't feel like we truly had before. And now we can start thinking about both types of green with respect to a level 3 charger, as well as the overall strategy and objective. Okay. So we will put that action item on me, put that on a future agenda.
I want to point out that somebody's actually charging up right now. Real time. This is a real time chart over here on the left.
How exciting. How
That's so
exciting.
cool.
It is exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
What I'm going to do, if you're okay with that, is take over the screen, share my screen, and show what our landfill. Thank you to Palmer Capital for getting us this information. Scott Kaplan is out of town, but Gordon was able to make it happen, and we appreciate that. I will share. So far, we knew we had crossed the $450,000 threshold last month, and year to date, 2024 through June, we are now at $459,000. So we are marching towards $500,000, and we are on target with what our expectations were related to what our annual savings were going to be. So this is all, again, good information and good news. I'm going to stop sharing. Any questions on the solar?
Incredibly impressive.
We're making money for the town in our sleep. No, actually not while we're sleeping. We're making money for the town while we go on our day-to-day operation.
Presumably, yeah, presumably people are away.
Yes. Okay, so solar energy array, charging stations, electric school bus. I have reached out to Enel about getting people on our team trained on that data. I will say, I don't know, did anybody go to the fireworks on the 2nd of July?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody go on a school bus?
Mm-mm.
So the school had offered up the use of the school buses and their school bus drivers to shuttle people around town to get to the beach for the fireworks show, which was very well attended. And our liaison to the school committee, who has been Ted Carr, made sure that one of the buses that was a shuttle was the electric bus. I am told, and I do not have a picture of it and I have not seen it, that the electric bus now has a better signage that indicates it's electric, not just the green bluebird or green bird. So
someone of us really advocated for that. Who was that? Was that you, Debbie, or somebody really
Oh, I
advocated?
was, yeah. Well,
Were you
you
the
and I
one who
were
told her-
talking about it right next. It's like, yeah, get that banner up there.
Oh, very good. Well, I'm glad that happened.
Yeah.
So we'll get a picture of what it looks like, but that was done. And apparently I haven't seen those comments because I rarely go on to 143 or Facebook, but apparently there were a lot of very positive comments by people who rode the electric bus to the beach about how quiet it was, how clean it was, how it was the best school bus experience they'd ever had. So we got a lot of very, very good comments and press on our electric school bus because it was a shuttle to the beach for the 2nd of July's fireworks.
So can I ask, how much is it being used now? You know, I know they were holding it back and
So before
filling
the
in,
school
but now
year-
does it have a route?
Well, it's summer, so there's no.
Or,
Most of the
well, I
buses
mean,
don't
at
have
the
a route.
end of, yeah. I mean, did they
The
end up
answer is
having a
yes.
route?
They were using it on routes at the end of the school year. There was an issue related to the back door not locking, or the back window would not lock. They sent it back to Anderson, and Anderson fixed it and brought it back. And once that was resolved, it started doing regular routes. So the bus has already gotten to the comfort level that it was being used on regular routes. They already troubleshot the first issue, which was the back window not locking, and that's now fixed. And it was used for the 4th of July fireworks shuttle. And I don't know if it's being used for other things this summer.
And I just asked one other question. I was talking with Brianna, and they're very interested in getting electric school buses. And I don't know. I wanted to, we talked about the dashboard and whether that's proprietary or whether that's something, because I thought it was a demonstration project, whether that could be shared with other people who want to see our experience.
Yes, so that is listed under data, because going forward, I would anticipate that we would have a dashboard on what the electric school bus is doing, similar to the solar energy array and similar to the EV charging stations.
And that could be shared.
And that would be included in our meeting minutes and therefore shared.
Great.
Okay. Any question on our data reports? Okay. So now we move to the presentation outline to the select committee. And this is scheduled for either July 23rd or August 6th. It was forwarded along with the agenda and the meeting minutes that we had voted on. Did anybody get a chance to review that?
I did.
All right. My hope is that we can discuss this in 10 minutes, because I am taking this call from my office and I'd like to catch the 9:15 boat instead of the 9:45 boat from a selfish perspective. But I also don't know if we need more than 10 minutes. So if we could, I'll pull it up and share.
So right off the bat, I think we need to add the MOU.
All right. So can anybody see this?
It's in the
Yes.
appendix, Deb. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we usually have 10 minutes to present to the select board. The way that they have most appreciated our presentations, and this has evolved over the last 6 years or 5 years, is if we give sort of a 5-page or 5 to 7-page summary up front and then put a lot of detail in the appendix. So that is how I structured this, where there's an introduction. We remind them of our mission statement. That serves as a basis for whatever our ask is, as long as it's consistent, which we would never ask for something that's not consistent with our mission statement for risk of getting shot down and not having any authority to ask. The second is we always remind them who our members and liaisons are. This is not only to call out for the town, all of the people that are doing a great job, but also so that they know the caliber of the people who are working on this committee and the basis for our knowledge when we make recommendations. Total benefits to date, right, continues to exceed $2.1 million. And so we'll do an update on the total benefits to date tied to grants received, savings from the solar energy array, anything else that we're providing. And then with all of that good stuff behind us, we move into whatever the key issue is we want to discuss with them. And based on our recommendation today, the key meat of the presentation would be focused on the Climate Leaders Program, telling them our recommendation and what's required to move forward with that and getting their approval. So that would be our real ask. At this point, I don't think we're ready to talk about the golf cart community initiative, other than to ask for their permission to move forward with discussing that. At one of their prior meetings, the chief of police talked about it. I don't think we've gotten our arms around it yet, but I wanted to let them know we're doing exploration. And then next steps. In the appendix, I would like one to 2 pages on each of these topics. The electric school bus, the EV charging, solar energy array. A lot of this we already have, just the charts, right? So they can look at it. The community choice aggregation program, update on where we are on that. That the new prices would start in December. Part of this is marketing to the town. So they start to become aware of what's happening with that program. The National Grid program and MOU. I have this in the appendix, but if we think we need their approval to move forward with this, or we'll be ready to do that, because we would have, or we can ask them if we either have the town council review or we ask them for that review. We can move that up to the front, or we can keep it here just so they have the background on that. The education
They
program,
have
I'd
to
like
sign
to,
off on that. I think that needs to be an item up above, because they have to sign off on that before we can really get going.
Mhm.
So,
Remind me, did
I mean,
we,
the MOUs with them, so.
did we make a recommendation on, so this would be an ask for approval to move forward. Their first question is going to be, what does town council say about the MOU?
We concluded, to my best of my memory, we concluded that they were so flexible about changing it as we moved along, and it says it in the MOU. So if we want to tweak it in any way, they left the door open for that. So there wasn't really any, I can't imagine any pushback. They were bending over backwards to create this generous MOU. Was that the question? So
My question is, did we vote to recommend they sign this at the last meeting?
Oh, I don't recall. I didn't see the minutes that referred to that.
Okay, so we just voted on those minutes. So let's just quickly take a look.
Yeah.
And if we did not, and we're ready to make a recommendation on that, we can make the recommendation. Take a vote on recommendation right now.
I feel like we voted on it.
I'm not sure we had a formal vote. We talked about, presenting it to the select board and getting their approval to move forward legally. And then I think, Tanya, we had a discussion that, we would work with Michelle and she was going to push it forward. I don't think we had a formal vote that of support for it.
Okay, do we think we're ready to do we want to make a formal recommendation to them?
I thought we did vote on that. I'm just trying to pull up the minutes.
I see the action item. It just says that that we give Michelle the National Grid MOU for legal review and follow up to encourage timely progress.
But I think we actually voted on it. I'm just trying to,
Yeah,
I'm trying to pull up the minutes really quick.
I'm on the minutes and I'm trying to find it myself.
Okay.
So I see the committee discussed whether the MOU should be sent to town council for review before or after permission to proceed from the select board. Michelle indicated that any contract should receive council review in anticipation of questions that the select board may have.
So we were waiting for the council to review.
All right, do
No,
we feel
we haven't
we
s-
need that before we make a recommendation?
I
Can
think
we
we-
make
I
a
think-
recommendation subject to council's review?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Based on what we know, the Alternative Energy Committee recommends that the town pursue this program.
Yes.
All right, if somebody would like to move that motion, you may
I
do
will
so.
move it. I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so Debbie moves it, Tom seconds. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none and knowing that we've discussed it every meeting since the opportunity arose. I feel like we're ready to vote on this. Why don't we go around to a roll call vote and how you vote? There was a motion to recommend to the select board that we would pursue, subject to council's review, pursue this program with National Grid. And there was a second, and we've already had a lot of discussion, no additional discussion at this point. If we're ready to vote, please say your name and how you vote.
Chris Alderson, aye.
Don
Barbara
Daly, aye.
Russell, Barbara Russell, aye.
Martha Gangemi, aye.
Debbie Cook,
Gordon
aye.
Hole, aye.
Tanya Bodell, aye. All right, recommendation. So we can include that recommendation in the presentation, and we've moved it up to the body of the presentation, as opposed to just, there may be additional details that we put into the appendix just for further review by them. Okay. Great recommendation. Unanimous. All right, pulling up. Is there anything else on the presentation? So I would ask, I'm just going to quickly share again. For anybody who is a champion of these topics in the appendix, I can take the lead on the body of the report. But if there is anything in the appendix that you've been taking the lead on, if you could draft a PowerPoint slide presentation to summarize or provide the detail on where we are, that would be
When do you need that by?
well. So, for example, on the zoning bylaws.
Oh, I'm saying, when do you need that by?
Oh, when do I need that?
Yeah.
I would say by next week. They would
Okay.
ask for it by Friday, so a week from tomorrow.
So you probably need community choice aggregation program, education program, zoning bylaw. Maybe you don't need specialized stretch code. Yeah, okay.
I think we might have some information that we could just put in based on our prior meetings.
Yeah.
But most certainly, I think the one thing I'm not familiar with is the zoning bylaw findings.
Okay.
So what's the status of that? Where are we? The education program I can grab, put together some nice graphics, unless Debbie, you and Barbara want to put something together about what the program is. Actually, if you could just give me the list, I can talk about where we are. I can have six graphics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a line saying we've done this and we're going here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually all on our sub web page.
Yep, and I think it was on the materials that you had done as part of the cleanup day.
Right. Can I just quickly ask the community choice aggregation program, what are you looking for there?
So that one, I think I'm just going to go get the graphic of where we are and talk about what's happening. And, you know, we've already had one. Maybe I can do some savings, what we've saved, add that to our tally for the town. And then I can take the lead on that. I think it's mainly just a timeline. If that makes sense. But if there's anything that Steve wants to put in, I would appreciate that. Or if there's something that Good Energy is ready to send, I can put that graphic in. Usually they have some nice materials. That would be the easiest. Just get some type of marketing, stay tuned or save the date. And then the dates on which information is going to be coming. That would be ideal. So if you get that from Good Energy and I can just copy and paste it in, that would be lovely. All right. Okay. Chris, you might get to bed. Anything else on that presentation outline? Everybody's good? We've got our action items on that?
Oh, good.
Okay, if something comes up or we're missing something, just send me a note, but I think this covers pretty much what we've been doing and continues to toot our horn and put us in a place of credibility for the 2 recommendations that we're going to ask them to consider. Okay, great. Are there any matters not reasonably known in advance? Woo! We might be done by 9 o'clock. All right. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Martha. Is
Second.
there a second? Okay,
Aye.
second from Dorn Hole. And all in favor, we do not have to do roll call vote for adjournment. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. We are officially closing our meeting. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you,
You did
Tanya.
great work. All
Thank
right.
you.
Good luck
bye-bye.
catching the boat.
Bye, thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.